Hello YouTube, it's me, Tiaval Wilderness. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this video, my worst bots of 2020. This is the collection of bots that I bought throughout the year, and this is the first of 3 videos that I'll be doing as my sort of final videos for 2020. I'll be doing this video, then I'll be doing my best bots of 2020, and then I'll be doing my end of month bot haul to round up my haul for this month of December. So, the worst bots, the dross, the bots that upset or disappoint me the most throughout the course of the year whilst buying my bots for my individual monthly hauls. Now you've got to take this into context, because some of the bots I'm about to show you, I don't necessarily hate them. It's just that in any given month that I got them, they just didn't measure up to the other bots that I bought, or they were the bot that I liked the least out of all the bots that I got. There are some genuine stinkers in here, however, and some surprising bots which you might think, oh, what the hell's that doing on his worst list? There's at least 2 or 3 bots on here which you'd say don't deserve to be on this list. So I've got 12 bots to show you with the main sort of worst bots, because obviously I do that first and worst thing at the end of every monthly bot haul, where I showed you the best thing that I got every month and the worst thing I got every month, and these are the worst things. And I've also dug out 5 dishonourable mentions to throw in as well. So without that said, let's get on. Right, so these are all in chronological order, in the monthly order from January through to December, and then the dishonourable mentions. So with that said, let's get on with it. Right, so January. Robot Trains Duck. Got him in January. Now, I was on the fence about getting this guy, and then I suddenly decided I wanted to get him. He's very small. Very basic. Out of all the Robot Trains figures they did for Season 1, he is probably the smallest and most basic figure they did. He's a small character in the show. Because he's small, the engineering sort of works against him. He's got these very dumpy legs and very dumpy arms, and articulation-wise, he's hardly got any articulation. Transforms into his sort of train mode, and he's like part boat, part train. He can actually swim through the water. He can drive through the water and on the rails. So, he's got this boat design. He's got some nice moulded detail. He's got this like wood grain effect on here, and he's a good little bot, but when I compared him to everything I got in January, it was like he was obviously a shoo-in for the worst bot of the month. Compared to the other Robot Trains figures, he's nowhere near as big. He's not as articulated. He's very, very basic, and so I was disappointed with him in that respect. But I kind of knew what I was getting when I bought him. But there you go. He was the worst bot I got in January. Right, now on to February. Studio Series 34 Dark of the Moon Leader Class Megatron. Now, I got this from the NEC Toy Fair in February. Now, I'm filming this video on December 27th. Now, today should have been the NEC Toy Fair after Christmas. The December 27th NEC Toy Fair should have been today, but because of COVID, it's all Barry Potter toy fairs have been cancelled until further notice. So, I would have gone to that this morning, but anyway, so the only NEC toy fair I went to this year was in February, and I got this guy. Now, when I heard that they was doing, a leader class Dark of the Moon Megatron as part of the Studio Series, I was quite excited, because the Voyager class from Dark of the Moon toy line is really good. It's just too damn small. It should have been a leader class. And they're doing a leader class, Megatron. And then when I got it, I thought, oh no. My biggest gripe is the fact that they've wrapped the cab of the truck round his shins to make round his shins to make the feet. And it's like, I don't like that. And when I tried to transform this thing after getting it, I did my usual thing where I tried to transform it without instructions. And I sort of got a bit confused. I sort of started transforming the back of the truck mode I mean, I did the legs quite easy, but the torso and the arms, you know, getting them scrunched into the back of the truck mode, it was a bit of a mission, and I did some steps in the wrong order, and in doing so I burred over some of the crucial pegs that hold this thing together. And now when you transform it, it doesn't hold together properly. I've fundamentally damaged the attachment system in part of the transformation, and so and the transformation on this thing is bloody awful. And I don't care much for the aesthetic on this thing, really. I mean, I hate the fact that they've got these blocky bits around his legs and the transformation. And I had a bit of a bad moment when I was transforming it. So, yeah, that was why he ended up as my worst bot in February. So disappointing. Right, so getting on to March. Human Alliance Soundwave. Now, oh yeah. Now, Human Alliance figures in general, they come with this human figure, and the human figure is meant to fit in the cockpit of the vehicle. So all of them have to be engineered in such a way that they have a cockpit that the figure will fit in. And due to this, the car modes have this hollowness inside them, and they have to have all these hinged panels around the cockpit to make the space for the figure to fit inside. And it compromises the transformational nature of the toy. But Soundwave, I mean, my biggest problem with this, I mean, I had to transform this guy into robot mode because he was in vehicle mode for this video, and I had a bear of a time trying to get this guy into robot mode. My biggest problem is the legs. I mean, look how skinny the legs are. And the legs basically are the back end of the car. The trunk or the boot of the car is all the meat for the legs. And his legs are so thin, so stumpy and so tiny. And they've got joints on, you know, it's got like an ankle tilt and a knee bend and a hip, you know, so they're all there. But he's got these stupid little prong feet that he stands on. So much mass. He's got these humongous chunky arms with a lot of the car kibble hanging off the back. But it just doesn't work. I mean, the Studio Series Soundwave is so much better than this thing. But I kind of like Dark of the Moon Soundwave because he transforms from a Mercedes-Benz SLS into this robot. And I want to get different versions of the mould. I don't know whether I'm going to get the New Age Mister. I don't know. I'm on the fence about getting that. But this thing, I mean, man, so compromised, the transformation with the Human Alliance gimmick on it. It's awful, and like I said, he's massively top heavy. He's got these stupid, skinny, spindly legs. No, I did not like this thing. Did not enjoy it, and that's why it was the worst bot I got in March. Okay, April. Studio Series 58 Dark of the Moon Roadbuster. Now, I don't hate this thing. When I got it back in April, it's another one of those where you have to look at it in context with the other bots I got in that month. This one, it's got QC issues. It's got like floppy arms. The transformation's not that great. When you're trying to transform it back into car mode, you have to cram all the bits, you know, all the arms into the back of the vehicle mode, and the clearance issues, and it's not fun. You know, aesthetically, robot mode, car mode looks great, but the rest of it just lets it down, in my opinion. And I wasn't that happy with it, to be honest. And it's got that usual problem with Roadbuster of all the stupid kibble on his shoulders. Yeah, not a huge fan of this mould, to be honest. The way it works, I mean, it's, like I said, it looks great in both modes, just the transformation lets it down and the QC issues. So that's why this figure was the worst bot that I got in April. Okay, May. Cyberverse Ultra Class Clobber. Now, this is one of those, again, it's kind of unfair making her the worst bot that I got in any given month. I mean, I think, was it May, was that month where I only got like 6 items because a lot of the stuff I'd ordered didn't come in, and I had a bit of a grumble about it in the video, and Yeah, and all that. So I went over to Smith's and I had to do a click and collect because Smith's, it was during, well, it was May, so it was lockdown, so you could, it was May and lockdown, you had to pre-order the stuff online and go to the shop, and then they had the front of the shop, sort of coned off, and you had to go up and show your barcode, and then they'd bring the figure out to you. Wanted to get her because after watching the Cyberverse show, really like her character. I mean, yeah, when people first saw this, they thought, it was Lugnut, but it's not. she's got that Lugnut look, but she's a fembot. And I like Clobber. I mean, this chunky aesthetic really works for her. And her toy is not that bad. In robot mode, she looks okay. She's got a decent amount of articulation. It's the alt mode. And also, the stupid gimmick. I don't know how you get it to work. Yeah, that. The stupid flip over, Energon armor gimmick is a bit stupid on these things. You don't need to use it, you can just fold the thing away. You can fold it away and it doesn't really do anything. But her alt mode is just a blocky Cybertronian tank. I mean, yeah, and she's a Cyberverse. She was a Cyberverse Ultra figure, and the toy, I mean, she looks great. I don't hate her. She looks good. I mean, she's a great character in the show. Really interesting, but her toy, again, when you look at it compared to the other things I got that month, it was a shoo-in for making her the worst bot. I don't hate her, but there's things about her toy that I don't like. I don't like the alt mode. I don't like the gimmick. But there you go. That's why she became my worst bot of May. Now on to June. Studio Series 26 World War II Bumblebee. Now, when I saw this thing, I thought, that looks kind of interesting, looks kind of cool, I might want to get it. But Toy World was doing their third-party version, which has got a more accurate alt mode. He actually turned into the German Mercedes staff car, whereas this thing just transforms into some random armoured vehicle from Second World War. Great amount of moulded detail, looks great in robot mode, but yeah, it's got the dreaded QC issues. It's got very floppy hips, and when you transform it into the vehicle mode, it's a panel former extraordinaire. It doesn't clip in properly. There's huge gaps. Things don't clip in. Yeah, it's not very good. And yeah, yeah, didn't really like it. Didn't think that much of it. So that's why it was the worst bot that I got in June. And July. Vecma Studio, or MechFans Toys. Vecma Studios VS01 Chivalrouser. Now, this is a third-party upscaling of the Unique Toys, Legend Scale Headmasters that they did. I've got all of those. So I've actually got the original mould for this in my other room. That original figure was compromised. I mean, there was things about it that weren't very good. This thing does fix a lot of the issues that I had with the original toy, but some of the issues have been carried over, most notably the chest not plugging in properly. I have done something to try and hold it. It does hold a lot better, but it doesn't peg in, so there's that QC issue going for it. Yeah, and also it was one of two items that I bought from AliExpress, and they had these ridiculous, lengthy, sort of shipping time from China to the UK. They gave me a tracking code. It didn't work. I didn't know where they were, and they eventually turned up in July. It's an okay figure. It's an improvement over the original mould, but you know, when you compare it with other things I got that month, it just didn't measure up. I wasn't that impressed with it, to be honest. I thought it could have been better, and it disappointed me. So that's why it was the worst spot that I got in July. Right, next, August. Now, August would have been TF Nation, but again, TF Nation got cancelled because of COVID. So I had to make do, and I hadn't been buying that many Korean toys this year because of a number of reasons. One, Brexit. You know, Brexit happened in February. I was a bit worried about it screwing up the customs union, and it meant, you know, international parcels coming in would have been getting bitch slapped with customs fees. So I stopped doing that. And then soon afterwards, as things started moving again, after, you know, during the lockdown, you know, the tail end of the lockdown, certain sellers, well, my main seller in Korea, he used to do free shipping. All of a sudden, he starts whacking on a you know, an exorbitant shipping fee, and it just boosted the price up of all the figures he was selling, and I just couldn't afford to buy from him anymore. But then these mini Hello Carbot figures started coming out, and I thought, okay, I want to get those. So I bought a bunch of them. It took a while to arrive, and this is the worst of the bunch. I bought 7 of them, and this is the worst one. Now, this character, his name is Rook, and he's part of the Samchangzar. It's like a trio of brothers called the Three Musketeers from Season 2. And he turns into this police car. Now, the original robot and alt mode of the character is hideously ugly. I think so. I do not like his design at all. I didn't get the original toy, and I thought I would get this mini version so that I'd have a version of all 3 of the Samchangzar brothers in the same, you know, size class. This toy actually looks better than the original character from the mold. They've done the legs slightly differently, so the legs look a lot better, and he's got working legs as well, because the original figure was one of those one-step changes with no leg articulation. You know, it was effectively a brick. You press a button, it springs open. It's a robot, and they're leader class scale. And this guy, his aesthetic, I just absolutely hate it. He looks awful. The mini guy does look a lot better, but still, when compared to all the other bots I got in August, this guy was, you know, an obvious choice for the, you know, the worst bot of the month. He hasn't got all the paint apps on him, so you can't see how ugly his robot mode truly is. But the car mode, it looks like that flying police car from Blade Runner, but with wheels. It's a really hideously looking thing. Anyway, so he was the worst bot I got in August. Now this next one might upset a few people. In September, Fans Toys FT43 Dune Runner. Right, now, I got this guy. The reason I bought him, I am not a Masterpiece G1 Masterpiece collector in any way, shape or form. I'm not a fan of the G1 cartoon series. I don't slavishly collect, you know, Masterpiece G1 figures because I don't want to get a shelf full of no characters from Season 1 to Season 3 in the movie. Not interested in that. Occasionally I will buy Masterpiece figures because they're a character that I like, or, you know, other reasons. And I do this thing called character mold set collecting, where I pick a character and I like to buy all the molds for that character. And Beachcomber is one of the characters I character mold set collect for. Fans Toys did a Beachcomber, so I had to get it. Now, this thing, given, you know, Fans Toys, you know, thing for making these achingly accurate, you know, G1 cartoon aesthetic figures, I get this. Now, it weighs an absolute ton. There's so much die cast on this thing. I mean, it looks great in robot mode. It looks fantastic. I mean, it looks like he just like jumped off the show. But when it comes to Masterpiece figures, I would prefer to have a Masterpiece of the G1 toy. And I'd prefer when it transforms into its alt mode, it transforms into a realistic looking vehicle mode. I mean, I've got X-Transbot's Arcos, and he is, in my opinion, a much better version of Masterpiece Beachcomber than this guy. When you transform this guy into his beach buggy mode, it doesn't look much like a beach buggy, and I'm a huge fan of off-road vehicles, and it's got to have, it's got to have ground clearance, it's got to have, suspension, big balloon tyres on the back, skinny tyres on the front. If it's going to be a proper beach buggy, this thing doesn't. So the alt mode just looks wrong. And then you get to the transformation on this guy. Transforming the legs, he's got all these panels which sort of squeeze into the front of the vehicle mode. They don't peg together properly. He has got some QC issues, even though he's got like the QC. What's it? I mean, he just doesn't fit together in vehicle mode. There's lots of tolerance issues on him, and I wasn't that impressed by it. I was not that impressed by it. And given it's supposed to be a fan's toy, it just did not. It did not impress me at all. So that's the reason why Fans Toys Dune Runner is the worst bot that I got in September. That's all there is to say about that. Okay, I'm whipping through these things. October, right. AliExpress. I buy a few things off their website from time to time, and there was a KTRT, another Robot Trains character that I saw was being sold on AliExpress. Now, it's a toy of a character that never got a toy from the original toy series. He's a character called Geoffrey, and he looks different to the other Robot Trains. There's effectively like 7 characters that transform in season 1, and you've got Kay, you've got Alf, you've Victor, you've got Selly, you've got Duck, and then you've got Geoffrey, and then you've got the bad guy, Duke. Now, Duke and Geoffrey didn't get any toys in the original toy line that was made by Gina. I mean, this guy was made by Gina. So, and I was looking on AliExpress and I saw somebody, and it's Russian. It's got like Russian packaging, so it's obviously made in Russia. I think for some reason Robot Trains has really taken off in Russia, and there's a company that's making the toys under license over there. They're not quite as good as the original Gina toys, but anyway, they're making them under license in Russia, and they're coming out with this Russian packaging. And they've actually decided to do a toy of Geoffrey. He actually looks kind of like Geoffrey. It's not 100% accurate, but it looks like Geoffrey, and I tried to get one of these. And what I got was this thing. I got this. This is Victor in a green and yellow paint scheme. It's a repaint of the Victor mould, and it's a very poor quality thing. And also, it came like this. It came in 2 pieces. So I tried to buy this Russian version of Geoffrey toy from a seller on AliExpress, and it showed in the auction, in the listing pictures, the picture of the toy that I wanted. This is what he sent me. It was also very slow in coming from China because of COVID shipping delays. And when I got it, it was this horrible knockoff repaint of Victor that is in 2 pieces. I can clip it together, but I don't want to. I don't want to clip this thing together, because why should I? It came in 2 pieces. I don't want to clip it together. I'm just sort of holding it in robot mode. I mean, his rotary snowplow face doesn't even turn round. The original Victor toy does. It's very hollow, very loose, very floppy. It's not what I bought. I mean, I put in a dispute. I got my money back straight away, and so this thing didn't cost me anything. I was tempted to do a snuff video where I was going to destroy it in some inventive way and just do a video on it, but I never actually got round to doing that. So I have added it to my collection, but this is definitely easily one of the worst bots I've got this year. And not because I wanted to buy this particular toy. You know, I wanted to buy something different, but I got this instead. So I got hoodwinked and swindled by that AliExpress seller. And as it happens, there's a lot of other AliExpress sellers who are trying to sell the same, you know, Russian Geoffrey toy, and they're sending this out instead. So it's a common thing. They made thousands and thousands of these knockoff, you know, repainted Victor toys and passing them. Even in the Silverlit toy line, they, instead of making a new mould for Geoffrey, they basically just repainted Victor as Geoffrey. They'd done better if they'd have repainted Alf, because Alf's body shape is more like Geoffrey's body shape. If they'd have repainted Alf and, you know, gave him some different paint apps on the front, they could have got a more appropriate looking Geoffrey out of Alf. But anyway, I got this thing. Yeah, he arrived in October. November. Hello Carbot Knight. So when I was talking earlier about the minifigure, right? Here's what the big ones look like. So yeah. Hello Carbot's Knight. I have been after this thing for years, but I never got one until now because, in my opinion, these things were overpriced for what they were. They're basically leader class, you know, because as I did in the review, you know, it's a leader class size bot, and it's a one-step changer. Let's take that off. Right, so it's a one-step changer. You know, it does that, and it's got no articulation on the legs at all. But you know, this thing was going for, like, when it first came out, it was going for like 55 quid, and it's like I couldn't warrant paying 55 quid, basically the same money as you would for a fully articulated bot for a giant oversized one-step changer. And it sold out very quickly. This guy was a very popular character. It sold out, and then you hardly ever saw it. And there was a seller on Korea, two different accounts, where I tried to get this from an eBay seller called TA Planet, and they had TA Planet, which was the Korean one, and then TA Planet AU, which was the Australian version. They were selling one of these, but when I actually paid for it, they said, "Oh, it's got there's a breakage on the arm," and they gave me a refund, and that happened twice. So yeah, I had a real nightmare trying to get hold of this guy, and now he's been reissued. The toy has been reissued, so I managed to get hold of one of the reissue, and I bought this from not AliExpress. I bought this from 11th Street, which is a Korean website, kind of similar to Amazon. Of course, when it arrived in the UK, it got customs hit, and I ended up paying £76 for it. And when I get a customs hit on a figure, it can ruin my opinion of it. I mean, yeah, this thing isn't that great anyway, but he has got, you know, a decent amount of articulation. It's got a ball jointed head, it's got a shoulder, it's got an arm, he's got wrist swivels and a waist joint. You know, he's got more articulation than any of the other Sam Changzar figures. And he's also got this cool little automorph with the feet when you transform him back into car mode. That's really cool. So I don't hate this thing, I really like it, but again, because he got the customs hit, he just went, he went totally down in my estimation, and that's why he's the worst bot that I got in November. Right, so final. Now, you haven't seen this figure yet, because obviously I'm doing this on December 27th. I haven't done my end of month bot haul, so you haven't seen this figure yet. But you might have seen it in one of my unboxing videos. It is Hunt for the Decepticons Legends Class Longhaul. Now, this guy, I bought him as part of a bunch of bots from that guy in Holland, Garuk Camaro. And I like to buy multiple items from him because I can do combined shipping. And he charges about sort of like 15, 16 quid for shipping, which is a bit much considering you're getting it shipped from Holland. But if you add a bunch of items to your shopping cart and then pay for them. You only pay one shipping fee, so you can split the shipping costs between the various figures. And so I was looking for extra figures to fill out the order, and this was one guy I saw. He looks really good in robot mode. He's got a decent amount of moulding detail on his robot mode. He looks pretty cool. But when I actually got him, now obviously he's like a Legion or a Legends class, so he's not, he can have very limited articulation. So he's got like sort of butterfly joints on the shoulders for his arms. So his arms are okay. But then you get down to the legs. Now he has got ball jointed legs, but they're sort of locked in, so they can go forwards and that's it. They can also twist a little bit. That's all the articulation he's got on the legs. He has got a knee joint, but it goes the wrong way due to transformation. So he's very, very restricted, and I was kind of disappointed in that. His alt mode is so-so, and also because he's got these big wheels on his heels, when you put him down on a surface, it's like he's wearing roller skates. He just falls over instantly because the wheels are touching the ground, and he just sort of like rolls away and falls over. So yeah, so unfortunately he drew the wooden spoon for the stuff I got this month. Yeah, so Hunt for the Decepticons, Legends class, Longhaul. So that's the main bots that I got over the course of the year from my monthly bot hauls, which were, in my opinion, the worst bots I got on any given month. But as I said, some of the bots, I don't necessarily hate them. They're just that they didn't measure up, or they were the least, the thing that I liked the least out of all the bots I got in that given month. So, but I like to throw in a couple of dishonourable mentions right at the end. So I've got 5 more bots here to show you that didn't quite make it onto the main list, but were it not for them, these guys would have been on the top 12 worst bots I got. So, starting off in January. Yep, Studio Series 50, World War II Hot Rod. So basically, the same mould as Bumblebee, slightly remoulded, slightly repainted. This guy has got the same issues. He''s not quite as loose as the Bumblebee mould, but again, when you transform it, it doesn't peg in very well into his vehicle mode. It's a panel former. It's got QC issues. Things don't plug in. It's got lots of panel gaps and stuff like that. So yeah, he doesn't quite measure up. He looks pretty cool though. I will admit I like his look, and I'm hopefully going to get the Toy World version of World War II Hot Rod when that comes out next year. But yeah, he's a dishonourable mention for January. Then April. War for Cybertron, Earthrise, Cliffjumper. Now, I did say in my April end of month bot haul video, when I did the first and worst, I held this guy up and said this was the worst guy I got, but only as a jest, only as a joke. I actually, it was actually Dark Lumin Roadbuster who was the worst. But then again, this guy, I mean, a lot of people have complained about the size of this guy. I mean, yeah, he's a deluxe class figure, but he's like a legend scale bot. I mean, you put him next to an old legend scale bot, and he's only slightly bigger. And put him next to a deluxe, and this guy is a small deluxe. So, yeah, he's a decent little bot. He's got great articulation. He's got this bazooka thing, which comes apart and can attach on. It's got a lot of playability. It pulls. You can pull it apart and stick it on his alt mode to do various different things. So that's great. But the thing is, they did away with the Legends class price point for the War for Cybertron trilogy. They sort of did away with it in Power of the Primes. So there isn't a size class for these smaller bots, but yet in Kingdom we're getting the core class, so they're kind of bringing it back. But anyway, this guy, because he's a mini Autobot, he is small. He's meant to be small, so they threw a lot of engineering into this guy, but still the size. And the fact that he's a small bot and they were asking Deluxe money for him, so that's why, in my opinion, he deserves a dishonourable mention. Right, Dune. Dark of the Moon, Cyberverse Legion class, Topspin. Oh dear. Now, this thing, robot mode. Where's the paint? There's hardly any paint on the robot mode. It's got some moulded detail, but none of it's picked out in paint. When you transform him into car mode, however, it becomes apparent where the paint budget went to make it look like a realistic NASCAR. And I have checked up, yes, this looks like a real NASCAR that did race in the NASCAR series. However, you get into robot mode and he's got these stupid kibble wings that sort of fold out to show the robot mode. And I wish they'd have done something with these chunks of car mode so that they slid up or folded up onto the shoulders. It would have made this guy look a lot better. And if they added a few more sort of paint apps to him, he would have looked a lot better too. When you compare this guy with the other Cyberverse Legion class wreckers from Dark of the Moon, this guy looks like a poor brother compared to the other two. I mean, Leadfoot's amazing. He's awesome. In fact, he was on one of my top bots of the year, a couple of years ago. And I've also picked up and managed to get hold of the Roadbuster version, and he's really good as well. But this guy, no. He's so basic. He's so crappy. He would have made the main list, but obviously, no. Let me think. Dune. Who was the? Well, he was up against World War II Bumblebee. So, yeah. World War II Bumblebee got the worst, and this guy was just a poor second. But anyway, there we go. Right. August. Now, again, another one that will surprise some people. Magic Square MSB 36 Doomsday. Their Legends class G1 Megatron. Now, I like to collect G1 Megatron Gunformers. That is full of them. As far as I'm aware, I've got all the moulds that they've ever done up to date. This is the latest one. So I know my way around a transforming Megatron. I know about the way the engineering it takes to turn from a bipedal robot into a handgun. That's what fascinates me about these moulds. And then there's this guy. Now, the robot mode is amazing. It looks fantastic. It's so G1 cartoon aesthetic accurate, you wouldn't believe it. And it's super, super clean as well. You look around the back, it's really, really clean. It looks amazing. It looks awesome. However, this look comes at a cost. And the cost is the transformation and the alt mode. So the transformation is really fussy and fiddly on this guy. And it's a bit awkward. Not very clever. I mean, I've got the New Age Megatron mold. That thing's amazing. It's a mini masterpiece in every sense of the word. The engineering on that is like transformational magic. It's just the way that thing works. This one, not so much. There's a lot of things in it that close tolerances, things that don't quite fit together properly. And then the gun you end up with is the proportions of the gun are all wrong. It just doesn't look like a properly scaled, Walter P38. It just looks like a pop gun, a toy gun. It just looks garbage. So yeah, I was very disappointed. I had high hopes for this thing because I like to collect my Megatron Gunformers, and this one I was very disappointed by it. Really, really was. It wasn't as good as I was hoping to be. I mean, yeah, it looks amazing in robot mode, but when you're transforming it and the gun mode you end up with, not so much. So that's why it's a dishonourable mention for August. Now, the last bot, October. Studio Series 65 Bumblebee movie Blitzwing. Now, he looks good in robot mode. Kind of lanky legs, I think. He kind of looks a bit lanky, but you know, decently articulated. Looks pretty good. He's okay, but then he get to the alt mode. Now he transforms into some random ass plane. Doesn't transform into McDonnell Douglas F4 Phantom like he should have done, because that's the alt mode he had in the movie. Now I don't know the reasons why they didn't go for the proper F4 Phantom alt mode. I don't know why. There's two reasons. One, they couldn't be bothered to transform it into that. You know, it was probably a bit complicated to get that mode out of it. They didn't want to do that. Or maybe there was some licensing fee that needed to be paid to McDonnell Douglas to use the likeness of their jet fighter plane. I don't know. But yeah, the alt mode just doesn't fly for me, and I was very disappointed by it. It's a decent bot. I mean, it looks good in robot mode. Like I said again, you know, he's got these really ridiculously long legs, but apart from that, you know, again, the alt mode just didn't work. So it was kind of a letdown in that respect. So that is it. That is all my worst bots I got this year, plus the dishonourable mentions. That's your lot. So this is the third to last video I'll be doing this year. I've got 2 more videos to do. I've got my end of month bot haul, which will be on, you know, December 31st. So look out for those videos. Why don't you? I've been Too Far Wilderness. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you all next time. Ta-da.